Right, well, let's start. The season goes on, Neil. How happy are you?
Oh, of course, delighted. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know whether I made a couple of phone calls to Jason Turner during the last sort of 6 weeks, and I don't know if I ever got myself in a state where I thought, "Oh, this isn't going to happen." Like I say, when I spoke to you guys, I was always quite relaxed about it. But obviously, it's great to have that news that we voted for it. So delighted. Gives us a chance now to sort of put that to bed and focus on what's to come.
I don't mean to be negative, but do you think this is the end of it? What was it? 7 clubs voted to stop. Do you think this is the end?
I think, yeah, I think the resolution was to give everyone a chance, and whatever the majority have decided is what's going to continue. So I do feel for teams that both want to continue in the National League North and South, but have been outvoted, and vice versa, teams that didn't want to continue and have been outvoted and are having to. I do feel for them. None of this pandemic's ideal. None of what's gone on, and the sort of mixed messages of grants and funding and then becoming loans has been ideal. But we for the integrity of the competition, it's great that we get to try and finish the season and get some of our teams into the league.
You mentioned you've been relaxed, which was a very noticeable trait about this in recent weeks. Do you think you've kind of had to be to bring that across to your players? Because it must have been a very unsettling time for them.
Are you saying I'm a good actor?
No, I'm saying you're very calm. I mean, you've just admitted that you probably, you were slightly calm, even though at the back of your mind. But yeah, do you think you had to be that way anyway to kind of get your players on the same page as well?
Yeah, probably. I think if you're trying to get the boys ready to go for what's going to be an incredibly hard run-in for the rest of the season, but you don't actually believe yourself that's going to come and happen, then I suppose that will portray down to the lads. But the honest truth is, after speaking to Jason, I didn't ever get to a point where I thought, oh, blimey, this isn't going to work.
Wonderful. I've run out of disc space to record this. Can I pause and hopefully I've got that first bit and I'll come back if that's all right,
No
guys.
problem.
Thank you.
No worries, Chris. Lee, do you want to take over then?
Yeah, hi Neil. Have you spoken to the players about, obviously this morning, about the decision to go ahead, and what was the reaction?
No, I think they all in their own group were putting things in their own players group about it and stuff, but no, didn't have a conversation about that, to be honest with you. The only thing I've really focused on is tomorrow's game, and I know we're in a good run of form, but there's a saying that when you're having success, you've got to go even harder, and I've tried to sort of go down that line a little bit over the last couple of days and go a little bit harder on the group as far as our mentality and demanding more from each other, because winning can make you soft.
Can I ask you in the wider context of the division? Obviously, I know the league's obviously going ahead as planned, but teams like Dover have said that they're not willing to play any more fixtures because the players are on furlough. What do you think should be happening in terms of those clubs? Because obviously, if they can't play refusing to full fixtures, how does that impact the integrity of the league?
I think it will impact the integrity of the league. As to what needs to be done, it's really out
Tricky.
of my that's above my pay grade. I think it's by the rules which are in place that every club sign up to. If the league's there to continue, then you are obliged to continue. So that will be a conversation between each individual club. Now, I don't know if I understand the rules properly, but from what I've been, led to believe, if you can prove that you can't take on a loan, then there's a potential of getting a grant to be able to continue. So if it's genuine and you cannot take on a loan and you can show why, then hopefully them clubs that are concerned will be able to get grants that allow them to not get into debt.
And we've seen teams, certainly in Conference South before it was made null and void, prepared to play volunteers for free in games. If that was to happen in the National League, would you welcome that just to get the season done?
Sorry, say that again, I didn't understand.
Obviously, teams below, such as Tunbridge, said that they were going to play volunteers for free to get the season finished if required. If teams start to do that in the National League, would you welcome that?
Oh, tricky one.
Or do you think, again, that boils down to integrity?
Yeah, I think there is an element of integrity. I think rules are rules. We all know that. And I think, the way I look at it is, if the rules are there to say, if the competition's there to play, everybody has to play it. Otherwise, there'll be sanctions against them. That's the rules. And that's what we should initially start with. And I think on the back of that then, and I do feel for these clubs, because financially it's a tough time for everyone, if clubs can or are genuinely struggling to take on a loan for certain reasons, then if they can prove that they can't do that, then they should be able to get a grant, and hopefully they will, and they won't have the problem of being in any debt. And if them two things work, then why can't it carry on?
Moving on, obviously, interesting you touched upon the fact that you've gone harder on the players in the last 2 days, saying that winning can make you sometimes go soft. What kind of things have you been doing with the players post since Kings Lynn?
Well, just everything from the moment they turn up here and they go in the gym and they do their work, and making sure that everybody's at that and doing it better than they've ever done it, and or certainly at the levels they expect to be. Going through to training today, doing some work, game-related work, and making sure that you put the screw on the players and certain positions, and what the demands are of it, and we don't expect anything less. And like I say, winning, it's great because it breeds confidence, but also you need to make sure that all the habits are there and you don't take your foot off the pedal because you think you're better than you are.
Have you had the players in a meeting to reinforce that message at all?
Maybe just through training, not really in a meeting, just in training and after training, and just, sometimes as manager I'm very sort of laid back and set the culture now, and the boys can lead that, and I always encourage them, and I'm very positive with them all, but every now and then a little bit of Mr. Angry and a little bit of kicking them up the backsides doesn't go amiss.
I can't imagine you ever being Mr. Angry, to be fair. In fact, I can only recall you once being really angry, and that was after Oldham away, I think, in the league. I remember that. When we asked you.
Listen, if you ask my kids, they'd say the opposite.
Have you ever? Do you get angry at things like that if you take your foot off the pedal? You can't imagine.
Absolutely. I've always got a saying that I'll forgive honest mistakes. I'll always forgive honest mistakes. Someone has a bad touch, or Sam Slocum, getting sent off. He didn't mean to get sent off. It was an honest mistake. You forgive that because he's a great lad and he gives it everything. What I won't forgive is mentally sloppy, not doing your work properly, not running hard to the team. If they're not honest mistakes, if they're lazy mistakes, if they're mistakes because your mentality is not right, then it's not forgivable.
It's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, you were asked a question about writing off the title, and you said no one's giving up the title, and you were obviously proven right, because now I think if you win all your games in hand, you can go to the summit. Do the players sense now there's a big carrot for them to keep up this form?
I don't think I've been proven right by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's so many points to play for. We're barely halfway through the season. There's so many points to play for, and that was my point. It's a long season. We've still got to go away to Hartlepool, away to Torquay, away to Stockport, home to Sutton. We've still got to play all these teams. So I'm under no illusions that we've got a really tough time to get where we want to go. Do the players sense anything? I hope they do. I hope they sense that they can achieve what they want. But in the same vein, I don't want them looking that far ahead. At the moment, every game, the processes for every game. What are the opposition like? How are we going to beat them? What are their threats? How good have we got to be at the basics? Processes for every game to make sure that we don't end up slipping up and all of a sudden, haven't won a game in 3.
Richard Brindley, I noticed you said on Monday that he was probably going to be out for a month. Does that mean that you'll go into the transfer market to try and bring somebody in just for the short term? Yeah,
it's something we're looking at. Obviously, it's a position we've got left backs now. We didn't have left backs. Now we've got 3 left backs, but we right back's a position that we probably haven't got the cover in. And maybe if we had 4 games in a month, we would have a look and see how Dion is, and you know, whether he can get through them games and the rest period in between. But when you're Saturday, Tuesday every week, and in that 4 or 6 weeks that Brins is out, we could have anything from 8 to 10 games. You know, that would be very tough on Dion. So yeah, we are looking, and if we find the right type, we may get someone in short term.
So it would be a loan if need be, or
yeah, of course, yeah. You know, it'd be a short term loan to try and help us through that period. Yeah, definitely.
Onto the game on Saturday. Have you got any injuries from Tuesday night?
No, a few bumps and bruises, but Jordan Barnett is suspended. He's had that was his 5th booking of the season, both from the Oldham time and ours. So Jordan's unavailable, but everybody else is fit and well.
How pleased are you with how Jordan settled in at Notts, by the way? Because I mean, he had another impressive game on Tuesday night and was excellent against Dagenham.
Yeah, again, you know, we're going through processes at the moment. We've had more meetings lately on our recruitment strategies, and you know, with Richard Montague and the guys, we've scouts, we've sat down and we're trying to drive that forward and get even better. So you know, we're not surprised when we bring players in and they do well, because you know, you'd like to think if you do your homework right, then you are gonna get it right more often than not. But we want to be even better, and yeah, the recruitment's something we're working to make even better than it has been.
Chesterfield, obviously you went there and had a fantastic late victory. What are you expecting from them? Obviously, because they've had a change in manager, they've changed the squad as well.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with them, to be fair. And I know people probably say I talk up the opposition a lot, but I'm just very respectful of the job people do and how hard it is to win games of football. And you saw that on Tuesday with Kings Lynn. You know, I know we might say we didn't play great, but we had to scrap and battle and fight to get a 1-0 win. So, you know, I'm never going to go in thinking we're better than the opposition. Yeah, I'm really impressed since the new manager's taken over. You know, in all their games they've played, they probably deserved to win nearly all of them, and they've been the better team in most of them. So, yeah, I'm impressed. I think we'll get a different Chesterfield. I think we'll get a team that will challenge us. Not that the other team didn't that we played before, but I think they're a much better outfit. And I've told the boys, you know, these next 2 games, starting tomorrow, are extremely tough, and we're going to have to be at our best to get results.
Do you think this period's season defining at all or not?
I wouldn't say season defining. I think there's a lot of things. Momentum, mentality can swing both ways. You know, you get 2 positive results in the next 2, and you're in a better place, but then you can easily slip up in one you might expect to do better in. So it's just, that's why I try not to look too far ahead. Just say to the players, every game we respect the opposition. We work out what they're good at and what we think we can do to hurt them, and then we make sure we're at our best.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Chris, are you back with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Do you want to pick up again?
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Right, hopefully this will work. And Neal, okay, let's just touch on midweek. You weren't happy with the performance. Now, on reflection, watching that, are you any happier?
Yeah, probably. I think probably the last 15 minutes we got a bit erratic, and that happens. One team throws caution to the wind, another team's trying to defend what they got. I thought we probably got worse. I'm probably critical of myself a little bit and my subs. Not meaning anything on the subs I brought on, but I changed the shape slightly to do a certain thing that I thought would be positive, and probably wasn't as positive as I hoped. So yeah, we got away with it. But I thought, by and large, for most of the first half, bar a bit of sloppy play that gave them 2 chances, and certainly the first 20 minutes of the second half, we weren't as bad as I thought. The last 20 minutes, we probably were a bit all over the shop.
When you kind of think about it, does it really matter that you've played badly? Are you just happy that the 3 points were yours, or do you still want to see more from your side in some areas? I'm
a realist. I know, you know, we've got a style and an identity, but I'm well aware that you can't play well all the time. You know, and you know, I talked to Doyle. Look, Doyley's had several promotions, and in them teams, he quite often says to me, you know, we probably had 10, 12 games all season where we was outstanding, where we played really well. The rest of the time we were functional, or we ground out a win. And you know, obviously Man City in the Premier League set an awfully high bar because they're brilliant every week, but I think as you go down the leagues it doesn't quite work out that way. So it's one that you look back on as 3 points, and you don't really remember the game too much for, certainly compared to one like Dagenham.
Chesterfield on Saturday, how much of a test will they pose now?
A big one, and again, I've mentioned before, I know I'm very respectful of all oppositions, and I normally talk them up, so I don't think our fans ever expect us to be playing a bad team after I've spoke about them, but I have been really impressed with them since the new manager took over. I think they've been the better team in a lot of their games. I think they're a much better outfit than they were early in the season, and their league form's shown that. And I think they're potentially capable of mounting a serious playoff challenge this season. So we're going to have to, we're really going to have to perform well. If we perform how we did at sort of Dagenham and the class we showed at Dagenham, I think we're a match, or if not better than a lot of teams. But if we perform how we did on Tuesday night, it's going to be an awfully tough game.
That's an interesting point you made. I wonder, you've talked about potential title challenge. That obviously is your aim. Is there much talk about that in the dressing room, or within the dressing room? Is it something you try and keep, under the bubble?
I don't know what goes on the players' WhatsApp group. I'm sure there's some conversations that they have, and that's up to them. But when they listen to what I say, it's one game at a time. And I know it's old football cliches, but it is literally one game at a time. The processes that we need to go through to win one game of football, and then we move on to the next one, and you work out the team and the shape and what you're going to do in that one. But I think Kings Lynn showed us that if you think too far ahead, you miss what's under your nose. And Saturday is going to be really, really tough, and if we play well, we can win. If we're not at it, we can get beat. As simple as that.
Yep, thank you. That's enough for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, John.
Hi Neil, you all right?
Good, thank you.
With your cooperation, if it's possible to go into a time machine and go forward a week, I'd appreciate it, because I'm supposed to be writing a preview for the trophy quarter-finals. That's okay?
No problem.
Okay. So, Notts County are home to Oxford City in the quarter-finals. When that draw was made, you had two sides who both go in for promotion in their respective divisions, and maybe sort of having the the dual thing of promotion and a cup run. Now that's been altered a bit with Oxford's season being suspended. Do you think that alters the dynamic of the tie at all?
Maybe, but I do think, regardless of whether they still had promotion or not, they had Wembley on the horizon, as have we. I think that makes everybody dangerous and everybody's motivations high for that particular game. Now that they've not got the promotion on the table, this is probably a big deal for them. This is a season-defining thing for them, which possibly could make them even more dangerous and even more motivated to get this one tie right and put everything into this one tie. So, could make them even more dangerous is the answer, I think.
Because actually, not only is it season-defining, but it's actually to keep their season going, isn't it? Because this will be their last game of the season if they are defeated in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were going well. We played Havant, who were there or thereabouts, similar to them in their league. The league's strong. I know the manager of Dorking Wander as well, and they're a very strong team as well, as we found out when we played them in a friendly last season. So we're very respectful of the levels. Again, if we're good on the day, if whatever team we put out's really good on the day, then we'll cause Oxford problems. But we totally respect the motivations and the quality that they're going to possess.
You're now at the quarter-final stage. Obviously, you've overcome some good sides to get here. You have mixed and matched with your sides in the selections you've made so far. Does that change at all now you are so close to the ultimate of Wembley?
Not at all. Part of it is players who need the minutes, because I'm going to need them in the league. It's a chance to give them the minutes. But on the flip side, I don't actually rate them players worse than the players that are currently playing. The problem I've got is the players that are in the first team at the moment are playing so well that it's hard for them to get in. And at some point, one of them players will get injured or suspended, and I'll have total faith in the other group of players that have been playing in this cup competition. So I don't think we're weakening the team by leaving out players. I think I trust every single player to play to a high level for the way we try and play, and that will continue even if we got to the final.
You did mention a couple of weeks ago, I think after the haven't gained. The young player you brought in, who had such an eventful debut that day, who ended up with a red card, that he might be back in contention for this particular tie. Is he available for it, first of all?
Yeah, he'd be available for it. So again, we'll speak to the youth team. The youth team managers, the academy manager. Obviously with Tyrese, absolutely he comes into consideration for it, but I will take the academy manager's stance on how he's trained and performed in between, and if there's somebody else that's stepped up to the mark and shown a better attitude or anything over the last couple of weeks, then that player might get the nod. So you need to reward good habits and good behaviours within the youth structure, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah, over recent history, quite a few sides actually have combined the two things in non-league football of getting promotion from the National League and winning the FA Trophy. Do you think that the two can complement each other as far as Notts County's running is concerned?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We know our running's going to be extremely tough because we know we haven't got a midweek free, and we know if we go through this round that creates even more fixtures. You can't think about it. Like I say, if you start thinking about the end of the season, then you're going to miss what's in front of you. So we're just taking every game winning's a habit, performing well is a habit, and we're going to keep performing well. And we know we've got the squad capable, if we can keep everybody fit, of doing both. And if we could come away at the end of the season with success in both competitions, then we'd be delighted.
Is there also half a thought that at the end of it, they've delayed the last season's competition to try to get spectators there, that there might just be a pot of gold at the end of it with a crowd at Wembley?
That would be great, and that's all the motivation you need to try and get there, is to think of our fans being able to, as one of the first games they could get back into, be at Wembley watching their team in a final. So if that's the motivation my boys need to drive through all the way through, then let them use that, because that's fantastic.
Right, I'll bring you back to the present now, and thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Okay. Thanks, John. Pete, over to you.
Hi Neil, you're right.
How are we?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Obviously you said earlier about the nature of the National League, you're playing Saturday, Tuesday all the time. Is there any thoughts about changes of personnel, given that you're playing Stockport, big game on Tuesday night?
I always think about whether I need to change the personnel, and I know fans will always have their favourites, players who they think should be in the team, needs a chance and stuff like that. My job's to try and pick the right team for each game, and I know that if I keep playing Connell and Alex or Kyle Wooten Saturday, Tuesday for 5 weeks running and don't give them a break, I know eventually I will break them. They will get injured, and I'd rather lose one of them for a game and then back in the following game than lose them for 4 or 5 weeks. And that's my job, and it's never an exact science. But yeah, the team's playing well. Do I want to make wholesale changes at the moment while we've got a bit of momentum? No. Do I want to kind of try and keep the structure of what we're doing? Yes. But would I be worried putting anyone else who's not in the team into the team over the coming weeks? No, not at all.
You're playing a Chesterfield side who haven't played in 3 weeks. Do you think that might play a factor in deciding the game at all?
I think it will be harder on them. Although they might be fresher because we played we played Tuesday, but I think it will be harder on them because that competitive edge. If I was coming back in from 3 weeks off, that would be my concern, to get up to speed quickly. But I'm sure that they've done plenty of work over the course of since they've been back in at a point this week and prepared for the game professionally. And they'll be up for it. Maybe it might work in their favour where they're chomping at the bit and they come out of the blocks.
Luke Pilling obviously made his league debut on Tuesday night. How happy are you for him to come in from the cold, so to speak, and perform?
Delighted. Luke's obviously played in a lot of the cup games, so he's had a little bit of exposure. We've had a friendly behind closed doors over Christmas. He played in that as well. Delighted. And when we train, we work on the goalies. I'll put Luke in the first team at times when we're trying to play out from the back and work on our patterns of play so that he's up to speed with it. So we do prepare everybody for being in the team. We don't just play the first team against the rest and let them get on with it. Even today we put different teams out to make sure that players know the structure of what we're trying to do. So all Luke's got to worry about really, the rest of it should be natural from training, is just doing what he does naturally, and Jake Keane's got him in a good place.
And your counterpart, James Rowe, said obviously given the null and void from the divisions below could open up some loan opportunities. Do you share that view?
Possibly. There'll be players that want to play, that are good players, and you know, there might be an option of them going and, you know, coming and playing. So yeah, that obviously does. But then there's also league players that are available for loan as well. So there's good players all around, and teams have to do their due diligence to get the right ones.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys? Or are we done?
Yeah, Neil, just two things.
Yeah.
Callum Roberts.
Yeah.
How's he getting on?
Wouldn't be the same if you didn't ask me about him, would it? Yeah, Callum Roberts has trained today with the group. He's trained most of the week. He's doing his hard yards work. So if he gets through a full week of training next week, then we'll see where he is and see where his fitness levels are, and as to whether he could play any involvement next weekend. But this has only been his first few days training, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and find that he's stiff as a board next week and sore. Let's wait until next Thursday or Friday, and when you ask me that question, which you were never live to be, Will Lee, I can give you a more clarified answer.
Do you think that are you targeting that Oxford City game then, do you think, as a game that he could potentially play in?
I've said it for him. So I've said to him, you do the hard yards, you get your fitness levels into a good place, and you can carry on training with the squad, then I'll consider next week whether you're available to be on the bench or in and around the squad. So that's my dangle carrot for him. But obviously I don't want him to push so hard and then end up, you know, feeling certain areas and not being the player he can be. He's got to be right, and he's got to get the hard yards in, because without it he'll get injured.
And how has his mood lifted since he's been back on the grass with the rest of the players?
Well, once he's got a ball at his feet, he's smiling. So that's all he needs to put a smile on his face. When he's in the gym, he's a miserable so-and-so.
And Adam Chickson, there's been no change on that. He's still very much part of your plans, is he?
No, Chicks, like you say, I was honest before, said that he was potentially going to move away. That's why we moved for the two left backs that we brought in. That's obviously put him at a position where he's got a lot more competition. Chicks' attitude's been first class since. He's got his head down, he works incredibly hard. And again, you know, we've got a lot of games coming up, so you can never say never to anything. And, you know, even next week, you know, Chicks can be in contention for that. So they've got to get their head down, these boys, and everyone's got to make sure that whenever their chance comes, they're ready for it.